Let's see this. Okay, we're live. Let's.
Okay.
I'm gonna check on my phone the broadcast and see if there's a
Like a dude.
yeah. See if the chat's coming, and then once the chat's there, see all the homies. I think it should drop on the TL. Let's check it out.
Yeah? That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if somebody's interested today.
Oh wait. I think it's on the TL. So you could drop a retweet on that if you want your homies to see it.
Let me check.
Okay, gonna get maximum. I'm gonna close down all my bullshit tabs to get maximum connection, so we could have a dank convo.
Oh yeah. I should close all my tabs, right, for maximum connection.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh wait, let me do it. I have a lot of BS tabs.
A lot of.
I had thought. I thought on in advance to do that, but like.
Yeah, we good. All right. Let's check viewers into this. Oh shit. Fucked it up. There we go. Okay.
Oh yeah, I see it on the TL.
Got it. All right. Cool. All right. Can you talk again just so we can see if you're lagging?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. There's a. Would you mind actually just rejoining and then we can get in sync? Because you're like 3 seconds behind. I can hear you fine, but like the video is all.
Can I use the same link again? Let me try the same link.
Yeah, try the same link. First one with StreamYard. This is funny. Oh, maybe he can't join.
Hey.
There we go.
Can you hear me? Is it good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I just think there's gonna be a visual lag just because you're in Europe, obviously, and I'm here, so that's fine. I can hear you perfectly fine, so that's what matters. All right.
Oh, like visual lag for you. For me, there's no problem. Like.
Okay. Well, I mean, Like I said, I can hear you fine, so we're good. We're good. It's not an issue. You ready to go? Ready to rock and roll?
Wait. I'm sending to the dudes, like what you said, for more how do you say reach? More reach.
Oh
Wait.
yeah, gotcha. Send it to the dudes. Oh yeah, let's throw it in the Fight Club group chat too. See if any guys
Yeah, wait. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get my medic in here pretty soon.
your medic. Did you say that?
Mimetic value?
Oh, Memetic. Oh,
Yeah,
Memetic. Yeah.
yeah.
You should definitely do him. Like he should. Of course, he's like an anon, but he should deserve more. I don't know if he wants it, but he should deserve more. Exposure.
He said
He's one of the smartest men.
yeah, he said he was fine just going like with the camera and whatnot. And what we were gonna do, actually, no, I'm not. I'll tell you after the cast what we're gonna do, but it's gonna be super funny. I don't want any of the viewers to know.
Sure, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
All right, cool. So this is Arthaus, right? We're testing out StreamYard. So far, it's going pretty good. Today, we're here with Fury HOOA, and he's a writer.
HOOA.
He's a traveler. He attends EDM events. He does muscle ups on the beach and just
you see that?
Yeah. He's just a good guy. So he's here today to talk about something that he's very skilled at. He's very he's got a lot of knowledge on, and that's the storytelling process. He's gonna make he's gonna tell you how you can be a good writer, but you can also be a bad storyteller at the same time. So Fury, how would you define storytelling, and like how do you approach it when when you sit down to write on you have a blank piece of paper? How do you start a story? How do you approach storytelling?
Yeah, man. So like, I just finished like 50% of something I've been working on, and what most people don't have is like a thing. And if you're very familiar with cinema, there's this concept called MacGuffin, and it was coined maybe by Alfred Hitchcock, but he was a champion of it. Like in Vertigo, there's the necklace, and I think there's a bomb suitcase in one of the Hitchcock movies. If you know Pulp Fiction, there's the briefcase.
Your mic's getting a lot of feedback. I think the little mic on the side, it's like rubbing up against your suit.
No, you mean here?
Oh yeah. If you just hold it,
Is it better?
Yeah, if you just hold it up, everything goes away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
But what was it? The briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what's inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it propels the story forward.
Mm-hmm.
You can never not have a dull moment when you have something like that. Last very like a famous one is like the Raiders of the Lost Ark. You have the Ark. The story is incomplete without it, and very much unique with it. So before you begin any kind of story, you have to have like a thing in your mind. What's it gonna be, and work towards it. It's like a vision at the end, which parallels like to our life story. That's why I love storytelling, because we're all writing our chapter day by day, and if you don't have something to work towards then you're just writing and you're thinking like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like
right. You have to start with the end in mind, right?
Yeah.
And then that thing doesn't necessarily need to be a physical object. That can be a state of mind for the character. It could be a grand vision for how he wants to see the future, or it could be just like a task, like I want to escape, or I want to do X. So it's something has to be accomplished, basically a binary.
Yeah, that's well put. It doesn't have to be a physical object, but concretizing the intangible makes it easier for you to process as both a writer and a reader. But I think, like, for example, Shawshank Redemption, that's not a thing, but he works towards freedom, that beautiful scene at the end. Spoiler alert if nobody has ever seen it, but like
just spoiler alert, but shame on you for not watching it.
Yeah, but it's very cathartic, that's what the audience wants. They want to redeem with the lead character. They want to feel that weird sense of like combination of dopamine, fulfilling everything else.
Now you have the ending, right? You have the end in mind, but when you're writing a story, how do you get there? What did your character have to go through? What are the obstacles? How do you make the story interesting so people actually like want to read it?
What's funny, I haven't written that part yet, but there's like a misconception that they say the character has to want things.
Mhm.
But from a meta point of view, there are only two characters when writing a story: you as the author and the audience. Those are the only two real characters that exist. So what you almost have to do on a like a psychological base is have to make the reader want something. So for example, there's this technique that my favorite author used. I stole it from him. Is ask a question and don't answer it. So you have to apply this on like the macro level. The thing
Mhm.
we talked about is basically a question. Like, is he gonna make it in the end? You know, it's like a big question, like
Right.
an overarching question. The reader is constantly thinking about it, or like the somebody who's watching the movie. You know, you're thinking like, is he gonna make it? It's like a big question,
Mhm.
and as you move along with the story, you forget that big question. But
Mhm.
what you have to do on almost like any page, any paragraph, any sentence is ask mini questions on a microcosm. So
Mhm.
what you're doing is you're propelling your audience forward,
Mhm.
and you give the audience momentum. You propel them forward. Like for
Right.
example, you have a crime story, and you have like an opening scene that I describe in my course.
Yeah.
The cops want to arrest this guy. That's on page one, and you have like 50 million questions. Who the fuck is this guy? Why the cops do they want him?
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck, you know, like you start in medias res. It means like in the action, and you think like, fuck, what's gonna happen? You know, that's
Mhm.
just page one. Then you flip to page two, and on page two, zero questions get answered. You hold the suspense, you know,
You hold the
and
tension.
you hold the tension, and that's basically the whole trick of a story. You do that all the time without annoying the audience.
Right.
Audience.
Right.
That's very important. That's very
It's
important. You have to give them something.
That reminds me a lot about there's something called open loop and closed loop thinking where with marketing a lot of the time you'll see those like the really cheesy marketing where it's like there's one word you could say to a girl and cause her to instantly get wet and fall in love with you, and then they're like, this word is amazing, it's the best thing, but they don't tell you the word. They keep bringing you in,
That's called
bringing you
open
in.
loop, right? That's
Yeah,
open loop, right?
open loop, and
Yeah.
then the very end, they never close it. They go click here to find out, right? So you have to go there, and then the loop will be closed.
I
But
saw that on the TL. Yeah, man.
yeah, you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to go. How does this guy escape from jail? Flip the page. He comes out with a key. That's it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
want there. You gotta build it up with the micro questions and whatnot. Now, when it comes to
Hmm.
like when you first started writing these books and whatnot, when you first just writing in general, right?
Yeah.
How did you, like, obviously you've definitely evolved since then, you've definitely gotten better, and you've definitely worked through that. How did you
Yeah.
what was that experience like, just like starting out writing, looking at it and being like, this is awful, and then just like keeping doing it?
What's really funny, like, there's this thing about writers that they have drafts that no one has ever seen, and that's true for me as well. I used to be on this fan fiction forum, I think, of this friend of mine. He used to be on that forum. I just wanted to use it as a platform, just how I'm using Twitter now as like a beautiful platform. It's very elegant, the interaction, whatever. But this forum was horrible because it capitalized on in crowd. If somebody was already inside, they would be like cool and shit and stuff like that. I really hate that because newcomers don't get any chances, you know.
Right.
But to be fair, I wasn't as good then as I am now. But so I just started writing. It's a fiction story about like post-apocalyptic, like The Walking Dead, something
Yeah.
we're experiencing right now. You know, very topical. I have been thinking about that story a lot lately, but I wrote like two drafts there, and it was a lot of work, man. Just like nobody reading, no comments, no feedback, nothing. And when I had seen that writing later, I saw it was very forced. Like there's this technique that I use. I call it like a sing song, like a rhythm underneath my words. I
Mhm.
give it away like in one of my new guides, like a secret. I don't know if anybody will understand it or apply it,
Mhm.
but like poetry, poetry has meter, right?
Mhm.
And when you listen to a song, like I don't know, like the Beatles or something, it doesn't matter, any song, by the way, even rap songs. it is usually based on like 4 beats or something, and
Mhm.
and you have 2 beats, and then you have a comma, and then you have 2 beats again. It's like 4 beats. And what I do with my tweets, I give it away like in my book. If you look at all my tweets, there's usually like 2 beats, then a comma, then 2 beats, and I do that 4 times, and I have 4 sentences, and that's the tweet. That's like the magic secret of why my shit's so good. But when you don't know how to do it, you're in the first stage of like trying to copy it from who I got the idea from, you know?
Mhm.
And then your writing comes off as really still and wooden, as like cheap copy, a copy of somebody else. But what's funny is that like almost 5 to 10 years later now, people are like, holy shit, you have this weird style. It's so raw, so authentic, so fresh. Like it's like machine gun fast. How the fuck do you do it? And yeah, to be honest, I've been doing this for like almost a decade. So yeah,
It's just time. It's just been a lot
it's
of
just
time.
it's just a lot of time, just like pushing like the commas, deleting, all kinds of weird shit that I did. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I've noticed with writing is that like you could have amazing talent, but you got to nurture it. And the guys with all like the skills and the secrets and like they can brilliantly structure their thoughts and whatnot. They've just been writing for like 10, 15, 20, 30 years. There's
Yeah.
no like there's no one like thing you'll read and you'll be like everything clicks perfect. I can
No, it
write.
doesn't work.
Yeah, I get what you mean though about the poetry though, the poetry aspect to the writing, because even if you're not writing poetry directly, um, the best tweets do have a form of like a poetic feel to them, where you can, you know,
Yeah.
and I guess the more artistic, like the more rational inclined might not be able to understand the difference, but the more artistically inclined can be able to just look at that and read it in their head and like understand the flow. Like they intuitively understand the flow of like, oh, that sounds good. Oh, like that
Yeah.
this one do well.
I hear it almost now. What's like a good tweet or like a viral tweet or a very more fury intimate tweet? I hear it. I hear like a sound, and I tweet it. I think this is gonna get X amount of likes, X amount of retweets. This is perfect for growth. This will get some hate. Like
Mm,
just now, I just wrote like a Trump tweet, but it
mm,
wasn't mine. It was like something I heard about how Trump is very chameleon. Like he can adapt very good to situations, and he has
right.
like multiple personas.
Hmm.
And I knew that if I would tweet it, one person was gonna hate on me. And like 5 seconds later, it was true. I had to block him. Like click, yeah, block.
Yeah,
Like it's very. I see I see the end state now. Like I see the end
yeah.
state.
I guess that's an interesting concept because you're seeing the end state with your tweets, you're seeing the end state with your books, your storytelling, right?
Yeah, man.
Do you think that's kind of a meta secret to creating is having the end in mind?
Like a meta. What's
Like a
funny?
meta secret to multiple domains, tweeting, writing, like philosophy, all that stuff.
Yeah, what's funny? I listened to your other podcast with Lobo, and he
Hmm.
talked about like kids these days don't have imagination. And he went on this whole tangent how he was like a little kid and had like this huge imagination. I could very much relate with that. I was one of those kids. I was like a Power Ranger. I was a Super Saiyan. I was a firefighter,
Yeah.
Marine Corps, deadly sniper ever. I was all those things in my head. You know?
I'm just gonna do a tangent. I want to hear you finish. But we'd have all the kids in my neighborhood, and whatnot. They all come out, and whatnot, and everybody wanted to like everyone had the Nerf guns or whatnot. They wanted to like shoot at each other and whatnot. But sometimes we didn't have like the Nerf bullets or the BBs or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, guys, we could just pretend there's enemies and like we could pretend everything's happening.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, like that's boring. Blah, blah. In my mind, I'm like, that's amazing. Like we can be whatever you want.
Because that's the trick. Yeah, there's no limit to to this world. Only what you can create. I like to believe that.
Yeah.
So maybe there's the meta secret. That's pretty nifty. That like our imagination is like the core to like soft skills or like writing or copywriting, ad writing, sales, funnels, landing pages, shit like that. Because you're using your brain constantly, your mind, so to say. What's really funny is that, like, for example, a lot of people ask me in my DMs, where does this mind come from? Yeah, like I watched 1,200 movies. I've read 400 plus books. It's just like story upon story upon story engraved in my head.
Mhm.
And at one point, you want to be like Achilles, Alexander. You want to be those guys as well.
Mhm.
So those stories will imprint on you, like for creating your own legends and shit.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, obviously, your lifestyle is something that's it's a very important part of your brand. You know, the HOOA lifestyle, right?
Yeah,
And obviously, like that definitely has an effect on your writing, what you do in your life, and you know, is allows you to transfer better work onto the page.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you seen an increase in the quality of your writing ever since you've decided to start living, uh, you know, more the way that you are now?
Yeah. When you mentioned this concept, I just had a flashback. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I was in this writing group, and it's not like I had a beef with the leader of the writing group because he was a smart man and very technical. His writing to this day probably exceeds mine, but his writing was very stale and dull and very robotic because he loved to analyze other people.
Mhm.
So he would like almost follow them to a T, like in his
Yeah.
writing. But what I learned from books like Hemingway, Jack Kerouac, Hunter S. Thompson, Bukowski, like these bon vivant crazy ass motherfuckers
Mhm.
who people they compare me with them. Some of them I haven't even read. People were like, when I started out on Twitter, they were like, "Hey, yo, this is very Bukowski like." I was like, "Yeah, that guy's on my list, man, for like I don't know how fucking long, man." Or, "Oh, you must read Kerouac." I said, "Yeah, I read Kerouac like 10 years ago, man, dude. I'm not copying anything anymore. It's all in my brain now." But what I had said to that leader of my writing group is, "You gotta live, man. What you're doing as a writer and just sitting at home and like fantasizing and shit, you're not gonna be a writer like that. Your life has to mean something,
Mhm.
and if you write about that, it will have like a fresh, unique twist on it. And
Mhm.
that's, for example, in my first book, the nonfiction like adventure of Thailand.
Mhm.
It's, how do you say, it's almost like a crystallized moment in time. It's very intimate. It's not even sexual. People would think like, oh, he went to Thailand. It's almost like girls get mentioned in one page or something. It's mostly like food, the sun, how the lifestyle changed me, the
Mhm.
perception of everything. And it my life experiences changed my writing. My writing give me sales. My money enables me to grow as a human being,
Mhm.
and it's like a feedback loop. What I love, like a self-automated feedback loop that keeps on giving.
Mhm.
And my writing these days tends to go towards more people like Tim Ferriss or James Clear, because I want to have more like actionable advice. And
Mhm.
they can write very, very precise. They're very articulated in what they want to present to the audience.
Mhm.
Like, for example, the Tribe of Mentors that I have been rereading
Mhm.
of Tim Ferriss. Almost every line he has like a, what I call like a gold nugget. I want to stop and take that sentence. I want to dissect it. Whoa, this is fucking smart. You know,
Mhm.
and that's what I want to achieve one day. That people are already like screenshotting my tweets,
Yeah.
DMing me like, "Oh, your mail is cool." I love that, because it means that my work is finally paying off. But I want to be one of like the prolific thinkers and bloggers and writers, whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say writing is the ultimate skill to have for the internet because what you can do with it is you can do what, like, I'm obviously biased towards video, but you got to have the writing. It's so essential because you can do, you know, you can communicate with people. That's the number one thing. You can get what you want communicating.
Yeah,
Storytelling, obviously amazing. Copywriting, obviously you need that for.
that one I've been working on. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and if you're a master of like marketing writing, storytelling, and business communication, being able to clearly convey your thoughts, like you could do whatever you want. You don't even need other skills. You could just you can like half-ass everything else. But if you're a super good writer, like the world's your oyster.
Yeah, beautifully put. Like, so I've been leaning towards more like those business
Mhm.
aspects of like writing. That
Yeah.
fascinates me these days. For example, when I see a landing page now,
Mhm.
I said this to my friend who I talk a lot with. When I see a landing page now, I see exactly what's going on. Oh, this he's trying to grab an attention. Then it's like this social proof. Then a call to action. Blah blah. I just see it like I see like the like almost the matrix, like those little digits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it comes when oh, actually that's my real skill, by the way. Like I can I call it like lateral thinking. It's from psychology books. I can transfer like the knowledge of one node to another. For example, writing. Writing for me is like anything. It's journaling, it's making notes, it's writing copy, it's writing sales pages. I can do everything. If I practice a little bit with a different angle, I can get into it very easily.
Mhm.
And shifting this knowledge from one concept, one domain to another, that is my real gift. That's what something I want to put out there.
Yeah, yeah. Lateral thinking is, I mean, being able to move your skill cross domain. It's because a lot of people that struggle with that, I think, they try to focus on, and you can find this in the pickup artist circles a lot. They try to focus on the tactics too much. They try to focus
Yeah.
on the nitty gritty and, oh, I gotta have this period here and gotta say, but they don't understand the deep principles of why something works, right? Because if you
Yeah.
understand, obviously with writing, it's the effectiveness of writing is based on the interface that it has with the human mind and what the reader, what the reader's going to get from it.
Yeah.
And if you understand what can make a reader tick, then you could do whatever you want. You can be writing brochures for timeshares, or you can be writing a mafia story, and you'll know exactly how to make them tick and make them, want to read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well put, man.
Fury, we gotta wrap this thing up in a bit, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to kind of give some do you have any book recommendations? Do you have any maybe like some like writing guides that you know of on like actual writing, or
Book recommendation.
anything, maybe not even books, just anything that has helped you become a better writer, like the key,
Yeah.
key pieces.
Like the first thing, that's my new course that's coming up. Because it's like 100+ page essay that I've done research from all the other authors. What I've done is like distilled what is like common between all the authors that works for them. And like famous is like, what's this, like the Stephen King on writing. I don't recommend it because I haven't read it, but that's a famous one. But for the rest, I would just say like think about your favorite book, your favorite author, and study him to death, because that has been the foundation of all my techniques. For me, like, it doesn't really matter who you choose. It has to be somebody you love, and you have to study him to death. At one point, you have to be able to reproduce all his techniques, and then it will be just like it's your own. Like, you can choose Cormac McCarthy, who's a really good one, Hemingway, or Scott Fitzgerald. Those are like three very different authors. And if you study them to death, like for example, they do this in Harvard creative writing school, you have to transcribe pages of Hemingway. I've heard, it's really funny. But you will be better because of it.
Yeah, honestly, that right there, huge key point. Obviously, they talk about this in the copywriting world, right? Handwriting, copywriting notes, transcribing your favorite authors. It builds those mental models in your mind of like, oh, this is why they're doing this. This is how they're doing it. And then you try to write your own stuff, and it becomes way easier. It becomes way better.
For copywriters, they call it like a swipe file. That's pretty fascinating. You make like a file with all the legend copywriters. That's pretty neat, man.
Yeah,
You can steal all their techniques.
I would say for writers and people whatnot, like two things is one, read books, actually like learn how to hold your attention span and like read a novel and think about it and whatnot, and make reading a little make reading a little ritual instead of just oh, I gotta get my 10 pages in, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, fucking done. Like, actually sit down and like think about the work, and then the second thing too, I would say, is read epics, because Odyssey, Iliad, Don Quixote, the Bible, like read the big ones, read the meta stories, because those are filled with a bunch of little stories in there. And oftentimes there's many different mini plots inside that. And you get to see a whole wide variety of subplots can connect to a main plot, right? Like in Don Quixote, I don't know if you've read it or not.
No, I haven't read it.
It's amazing. And it's my favorite book of all time. But there's just so many, there's little adventures that they go on. And each one, like, if you just took that and made it a little, like, 25-page novella, that could be a novella. So, but you got to learn how to, like, start multiple pieces of action, end them, and then keep continuing with a sort of broad action at the same time.
Yep. That's pretty smart. Like the Bible, like specifically the King James version, gets like quoted a lot by a lot of writers, like Sanction, Sociopathlete. They all love like the Bible because it's so potent. It has so many stories. And sometimes what's really funny, I quote out of the Bible, and like my mom says, "How do you know the story?" I say, "Yeah, because they're like good stories, like
Yeah.
Samson and Delilah, the hare, or Isaac that almost kills his son, but the angel comes to save him." Spoiler alert. But yeah, but those things are like, yeah, it's like very prolific, iconic, like classics, you know. And if you know what why they tick, you know, then you can reproduce it if that's what you want, you know. But in
Yeah.
the end, we're all making stories, so I don't know why you wouldn't want this, you know, like.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're not reading the Bible because you're not religious, like that's dumb. You got to just read the Bible and get it from a pure like just think of it as a story. Like, don't even think about the religion behind it. It's an amazing
No,
story, and there's
it's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
and there's the lines in there are beautiful, and it's a great text, and it really connects you with Western culture. But yeah, this has been HOOA Fury. He is
Yeah.
you know his course is coming out, so you guys got to get on that if you found this talk valuable. And I hope to see you all begin writing after this talk. So take it easy, guys, and we'll talk to you later. HOOA.